Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Into the Johnnie Bobbo Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com on your Spreaker app. Obviously, man, we're doing the David Bowie thing. I mean, the man was an icon in the true sense of the word for over 3 decades. And tonight, the Johnnie Bobbo Show, we're going to be paying homage to the trend-setting figure during our celebratory 40 spot with Cody Vancura. And he's also going to bring along one of my buddies, Tributosaurus rock star Chris Neville. Tributo is going to be preparing for their David Bowie shows coming up in March, and he also is basically the primary partner to a new Chicago venue / recording studio / instructional powerhouse called Wire right out there in Berwyn. So we're gonna get his inside look on that whole situation. But then in this first segment here, we're going to get to our guy, Joe Ostrowski of 670thescore.com. You can find him at Joe0670. We're going to talk a little divisional round football with him. And later on in the show at 10 o'clock, we're going to bring in Eric Edholm of Yahoo Sports and also 120 Sports. And we're going to get into some of the interesting, at least storylines in regards to the divisional rounds. But if you want to give us a call, feel free. Talk sports while they happen. Or if you have any David Bowie thoughts, you want to get those in here, give us a call, 585-633-7487. Otherwise, give us a tweet at LN Sports Radio on Twitter. And I'm John Malors of 87sportsfans.com. Keith Grieve, our producers of 87sportsfans.com. And the Mr. Bob Sullivan. How are you, sir?
What it do, people?
Oh, it does stuff. So apparently you were busy earlier tonight because you were kicking some ass. You're coaching up your basketball team or what?
Yes, my freshman team took on Gretna, and we beat them 87-59. And we just went to town on them. So that was fun. We were without our best player though, so we had to rely on 3-pointers from other people, but it ended up working out in the end.
Hey man, things happen. It sounds like a good deal. So, obviously you coach baseball, but you're a basketball guy too. I mean, you're a huge NBA dude, but yeah, no. I mean, did you ever play, Bob, basketball? Obviously, you had to play a little bit.
I dabbled at the freshman level in high school, but no, I was purely baseball, swimming, tennis in high school for the most part. That was my. Those are my specialties. But basketball, I know a thing or two. And so I do, I use, I go to a lot of games, watch a lot of games on TV, and kind of study what works, see what doesn't. And, I kind of have gone the sabermetrics route, the analytical route of shooting a lot of threes and,
Cleveland Browns route of hiring the outside man, Paul DePodesta. Bring him in, chief strategy officer. He's going to fix things, right? Bring him, Hugh Jackson. Hey, that's a good combo. How bad is that when Hugh Jackson passes on, a job opportunity? That seems got to be pretty bad. And that's the one with Chip Kelly. It's the San Francisco 49ers. Hugh Jackson said, yeah, no, I'm good on that. And they're like, oh, we'll take Chip Kelly. I mean, it's not really a bad fit for him, per se, at least in terms of he gets his man, Colin Kaepernick. A lot of big draft picks coming up here so he can rebuild Oregon once again. You notice in another city in the NFL, but I don't know. It seems like a weird mix there, at least for me, with the whole San Francisco thing. You know what I mean? Like I said, obviously, he's going to be able to do some of the stuff that he wants, which is great, but I'm just not sure. That whole San Francisco thing's kind of ugly.
I wanted for, the last, I guess, six weeks of the season, I've wanted whenever Colin Kaepernick got benched, I had wanted for Chip Kelly to stay in Philadelphia and go after Colin Kaepernick. Is it 100% Colin Kaepernick's going to stick around in San Fran? No. But I would be intrigued to see what Chip Kelly can do with Colin Kaepernick in have him be what Mariota was, but you got to, Mariota was a lot smarter than Kaepernick has been, and Kaepernick, he just does the Jay Cutler thing where he thinks he has the strongest arm in the world, and he does have a strong arm, but he tries to fit everything. It's a matter of Chip Kelly having a hurry-up offense with an athletic quarterback that limits mistakes. And, if Kaepernick can do that, I think he would be a very good fit for Chip Kelly. Now, on the other hand, the 49ers last year lost a lot of pieces and turned into a dumpster fire. Now they need to address that in the draft. They need to address that a little bit in free agency, but they need to get better talent there. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they don't need better talent. They just need Chip Kelly's system and a halfway competent quarterback, and they'll be fine. So I do think this is a good hire. Who knows if it will happen, but I would like to see what Chip Kelly can do with Kaepernick.
Well, let's see what Joe Ostrowski of WSCR 670 The Score in Chicago at Joe0670 on the Twitter bot, anchor, host, writer, doing all sorts of stuff. How are you tonight?
What's up, fellas? How's it going?
Oh, just dandy. Discussing the whole Colin Kaepernick Chip Kelly combination there. I mean, to say whether or not Kaepernick had it before, is one thing. But you see, how things panned out this past season. But you did see flashes in the pan, to begin with. So I mean, is there any hope for the Kaepernick Chip Kelly connection here?
I don't really see it. I really don't.
I'm not. Well, hold on. I don't mean to interrupt you as the guest, but I'm going to. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I would just be intrigued to see how Kaepernick would fit with Chip Kelly's offense. Right. But go ahead, Jim.
Well,
sorry.
Yeah, no, we're not even sure that Colin Kaepernick is going to be a part of this moving forward, because the way that contract was set up, they can move on whenever they want, and they're probably going to give Chip Kelly a whole lot of say there. But what I will say in defense of saying it'll be interesting to see what happens, maybe this could be the turnaround, which I don't see. But in defense of that, I'm just taking a look at the overall scope of all these hires going on right now in the NFL, and you can't tell me. I understand everybody's down on Chip Kelly with what happened last year's disaster. It fell apart. Keep in mind, first 2 years went 10-6 both years, didn't make the playoffs, but 10-6 most teams in the NFL would take. But there are a lot of teams, and San Francisco is not one of them. There are a lot of teams that you can make the argument that they downgraded at the head coaching spot. But the most intriguing thing to me going on in the NFL, we've been saying for a while, it's an offensive league, it's a passing league. You're not getting a head coaching job unless you have an offensive mind right now.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and that kind of leads to, the Dolphins hiring Adam Gase, the Chicago Bears offensive coordinator, I should say formerly. But I mean, where does that leave the Bears? And I mean, why was Adam Gase obviously such a hot pick? He was on everybody's radar this year.
Well, he was on everybody's radar a year ago, and then so you're on everybody's radar. You worked with a few quarterbacks that are very difficult to work with in this league, and you've had success with guys like Peyton Manning, and you're interviewing for head coaching jobs a year ago, to the point where San Francisco wanted to hire you, but under their terms, they wanted to control who were going to be some of the assistants, and Gase didn't want any part of that. So in addition to already having a fantastic resume, now you go and you deal with supposedly the toughest quarterback to deal with in the NFL, and you end up having success, and he didn't have any weapons. Alshon Jeffrey was injured for the majority of the year, and then you have your first-round pick that didn't even play a down in the league. I mean, you had Matt Forte, and you had Alshon Jeffrey some of the time, and Martellus Bennett had an awful season, but somehow Jay Cutler had his best year as a Bear.
Right. Oh, absolutely. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that kind of continues out. But, I mean, how are things going to continue now with Cleveland? They hire Hugh Jackson. he was smart enough to say no to the San Fran job. But I mean, is he really in a better place now with Paul DiPodesta there? Kind of going over to the chief strategy officer, looking at the numbers. How is that going to work out for Cleveland?
I really have no idea. That when you put Paul DiPodesta, and a lot of NFL people do not like that because an NFL man is not getting a big-time NFL job. Yeah, I'll throw Cleveland and big-time in the same sentence. I don't know. So how is DiPodesta going to run this? What I'm interested in, partially with the DiPodesta hire, is how long does it go?
Right.
Do some of his thoughts, do some of his studies on different numbers, do they affect the coaching with Hugh Jackson? Are they going to go for it on fourth down in certain positions that would never, ever happen before in the standard NFL where head coaches are very scared to do that? I'm very intrigued by the situation, but it's still the Browns. And with that ownership, it keeps moving on from head coach to head coach. That is one of the worst jobs in the NFL.
Well, that's the thing. It's not, with me, I like the idea of bringing in, it happened in baseball where we kind of got away from the old school way of thinking, although I think there's a happy medium there. In football, the old school mentality is slowly going away, but you got to be creative if you're going to win. The Browns haven't been creative. They're trying to get creative, but how patient will they be with this? If DiPodesta, his strategy doesn't work, and how patient are they going to be with the head coach? Does the head coach matter? What is the end game for the Browns is the question. I think that needs to be asked.
Right. In baseball, the manager means a lot less than the head coach of a football team. No, but that's why it's very intriguing. And when you mention getting creative, that's perfect for Cleveland because that's what you have to do in this league when you don't have a quarterback. And I'm not even talking about a premier quarterback. I'm just talking about having an average quarterback in this league, which they do not have. And apparently Hugh Jackson said part of the deal is, okay, I'll come. When I get there, that guy Johnny Manziel, he better be gone. And they're like, fine, it's done. So,
Hugh Jackson, look what he did in Oakland with, Bruce Gradkowski and Jason Campbell. I mean, he can make it work with random veterans at quarterback. I mean, it was 8-8 season, but I felt they were a little bit more flawed than the Tom Cable team, but I felt like he can make it work with a random veteran quarterback if necessary. So I do like that pickup for them.
Yeah, Josh McCown. You can make it work with him, certainly. What are they ever going to bring back Josh Gordon?
Yeah, right. I mean, he's still suspended by the league, though, isn't he? Or was there something else involved? I thought there was that, and then there was an injury involved too.
There's always something involved with Josh Gordon. I believe it's indefinite, but I haven't checked in a while. But that's a heck of a talent there that you add to that team.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, what about the Rams? They're on the move. They're moving back to Los Angeles. Again, we're talking to Joe Ostrowski of WSCR 670 The Score at Joe O 670. What is happening? I mean, are you cool with that move? And I mean, Stan Kroenke basically said, trashed all of St. Louis and said this wasn't doable. You know what I mean? So now he's on the move. San Diego gets an option to move with them. Doesn't sound like that's what they wanted to do, but what is your whole take on that?
I'm really confused about all the other teams that are involved here with where the Chargers are going to be, where the Raiders going to end up being. It's not a surprise. We knew this was happening to St. Louis for quite some time. But as far as Stan Kroenke goes, he didn't need to do it the way he did it. On his way out the door, while taking the NFL team, he just spit on the city of St. Louis, which I didn't find necessary at all. And then the mayor comes out yesterday and says, we're not going for an NFL team. Well, that's fine because I don't think an NFL team is going to St. Louis after how things just ended over there. But as far as how it works out, it's L.A., okay? It'll be cool, but if you keep losing, it's not going to be cool and they're not going to be there. Maybe you can sell Todd Gurley, but my issue with St. Louis is why is Jeff Fisher untouchable? I just don't understand it. Why? Yeah. He's a 500 coach every single year.
I got an answer for you. It might not be a popular answer, but because he's white. If he was, if he was not, a white head coach that's rough and tough and old school, he's got all the right adjectives going to his name that make him untouchable right now, which is ridiculous because he's old school and he sucks. But I will say that, LA, even if they are winning, I think it's tough to sell tickets because it's like you're still going to have 100 if the Rams rush for 125 yards or with their quarterback situation pass for 125 yards, you get free tacos at the game. They're going to have to do a lot of promotions like that just to get people in the stadium, in my opinion.
I mean, if you've seen it, the place looks crazy, though, doesn't it? Have you seen the sketches, Joe?
Yeah, you see why they won it. They won the team over there. You certainly understand that. It's going to be interesting because, we're not out in LA, but I haven't heard rumblings or this pounding of the table coming out of Los Angeles that we want an NFL team. They kind of treat USC as their NFL team.
Right.
They like what they like. So it doesn't matter how bad the Lakers are. The Lakers are a much more popular team than the Clippers out there. It's a weird space. And we went from having 0 NFL teams to possibly 2 NFL teams. Right. I think that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, and now what's kind of ridiculous is I think anybody expecting the Packers to get blown out this weekend again by the Cardinals. I mean, you looked at what happened Week 16. Dwight Freeney, 3 of 8 sacks against Rodgers. The Packers' offense at that point basically had no chance. And if the Cardinals are able to get that same pressure, I think it's over for them. But I mean, with having seen as much of the Packers as you have, what is your take? I mean, do you think the Packers are actually going to put up a good fight here? Is Rodgers going to have time to throw, or is it going to be another melee and they're going to get blown out here?
Well, the popular thing is to always take a look at what happened most recently and use that recency bias and saying, well, maybe now Aaron Rodgers has it. This is the Packers offense that we've been waiting for all season. I'm not buying into it. You're going to see a huge step up in class going from playing Washington to Arizona, who for a while I have felt is the best team in the NFL. Now, last week, I will say that while people have been blaming much of the problems on the offense on Jordy Nelson, certainly valid. Randall Cobb coming out of the slot as your number 1 receiver, valid as well. But Devontae Adams was supposed to be a guy that was supposed to take multiple steps forward, and he's been a disaster, whether it's drops every game, not finishing routes, still miscommunication with Aaron Rodgers, and he had a nice game last week. I think he could end up being a key for this offense, but I think Arizona rolls. I mean, you can get up on top of Washington and go ahead. Good luck, Kirk Cousins. Even though you had a great second half, good luck catching up. But now you have Carson Palmer, who is in that MVP conversation with what he did this season.
Right. But, I mean, I think probably one of the biggest factors would be who gets a running game going. You know what I mean? Knowing that both of these teams can be unstoppable, seemingly, when they do get, Eddie Lacy or David Johnson involved. Now, Lacy looked, kind of a weird season for him, but did have a pretty big week, averaged 5.3 yards a carry and a touchdown last week against Washington. But I'm not so quick to buy into that. Like you said, knowing that it's Washington, now you're going up against Arizona, I just think there's too much there for Lacy to kind of get anything really moving.
David Johnson's been one of the best running backs in the NFL over the last month. Somewhat quietly, but yeah, the weapons are coming from everywhere with Arizona. So right. I'm going to roll with the Cardinals. I'm not sure that they're going to cover the full 7 points. I think they will, but again, I think they're the best team in the NFL right now. The bye only helps that team, and love Bruce Arians as the coach. I think they beat the Packers.
Yeah, and now kind of keeping in the NFC here, looking at Seattle going up at the Panthers. I mean, how do you see Seattle finding a way, or I should say, the Panthers with Cam Newton? How does it get that offense going up against the Seattle defense? They've only allowed 1 offensive touchdown and a total of 48 points in their last 6 road games, all wins. What does Cam need to do to kind of get the the arrow point in the right direction here?
Yeah, Johnny, you can ask that question for either side. So because you have a couple of great defenses. But what stood out to me so far, just taking a look at some of the numbers and where the money is going on this game from a gambling perspective, that the line already went from Carolina favored by 3 to Carolina favored by 1, and the majority of the public is betting on the Panthers. So that means the wise guys out in Vegas are all over Seattle. And Marshawn Lynch was a full go in practice today. And from week to week, a lot of times Pete Carroll keeps it quiet. You don't know if Marshawn Lynch is going to play, and suddenly an hour and a half before the game, you find out that Marshawn Lynch is inactive. But he's a big-time key because you have Josh Norman, and you would think that he's going to be on Doug Baldwin for the majority of the game. Now, Norman does not go into the slot, so maybe they move Baldwin into the slot a little bit more. But I think this is the game of the week here. I love this game. It's going to be fantastic, and I think it's a flip of the coin on who's going to win it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you too. Like you said, I mean, with the 6th ranked defense for the Panthers going up with Seattle's number 1, but with Chico having to improvise in that secondary, with Tillman going down and Beanie going down, that's we'll see how that holds up. But overall here, we know you're the fantasy guy. You do the daily fantasy stuff all the time on 670 The Score. Are there still daily fantasy leagues for the playoffs here where people can kind of keep up on that stuff?
Yeah, you absolutely. Oh yeah, you're willing to pay. Certainly, you can go ahead and play. But I would warn people. I would only do tournaments. I wouldn't play a lot of what they call cash games, or you're doing head-to-heads, because you're only picking from 4 games. You only have 8 teams to pick from. So maybe mix your lineup up a little bit. But yeah, definitely. You probably go next weekend too and play.
Look at that. Well, let me ask you this. Where can people find your work, and when can they hear you on the radio? I know you're kind of doing it, the updates now, but you're on from 10 to what, midnight?
Yeah, I'm on the air a bunch coming up over the next few days. Tonight I'll be on from 10 to midnight. Tomorrow night on Friday, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. And then Sunday morning from 8 a.m. to 11:30, I'll be broadcasting from the Cubs convention with Barry Rosner.
Oh, man, I'm definitely tuning in for that. Is Mark Grody going to make a guest appearance? I hope so.
I was going to text him to see if he's going to be over there. He's probably hosting something because they have all those different events, and right. People speak up on the stage. You've been there to the Sox convention, I know, before. So I'm sure he's doing one of that. So if I find Grody, we're going to definitely bring him over.
That's awesome. All right. Well, again, Joe Ostrowski from WSCR, 670 The Score. Joe 067. You can go listen to his show from 10. You can just download our stuff later. That's fine. But when we come back or later on in the show, we're going to bring in NFL analyst Eric Edholm of Yahoo Sports and 120 Sports to further break down this divisional round matchup coming up on the weekend. And our Dave Bowie Ludfest will continue with Cody Van Cure later on and Chris Neville of Tributosaurus. We're going to break down some Bowie nuggets and some stories that Tributo dug up after kind of excavating some of his tracks there. So come back at 585-633-7487 if you want to give us a call. We got time here in the next segment. And you're listening to the Johnnie Bobbo Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com and on your Spreaker app.
Second to keep breathing in a moment before it's gone. You never know when love is lost until you find just what it costs to be wrong. I wonder if you think of me passing by, you think you see me coming. I wonder if you pull me in, kiss me just one time again. Do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. Days will keep on coming and the nights will keep on going till they're tired. Falling fast asleep and as they dream of ghosts of beats filled with desire. The trance of life is all around, a chance to take is always found. Oh, right writing on the lullabies on the lonely living life. Oh. The final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. The final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. Take another second to keep breathing in the moment before it's gone. Never know when love is lost until you find just what it costs to be wrong. I wonder if you think of me passing by, you think you see me come. I wonder if you pull me in, kiss me just one time again. The final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side.
Baby, you're a mystery. Tell me what's a girl gotta do? Looking at the history doesn't seem to give any clue. Just when I think I understand it all, you seem to unravel some more. Ooh, la, la, ooh, I never known nobody like you. Ooh, la, la, ooh, now I know. Baby, you're dynamic. Ooh, la, yeah, you keep me guessing on confessing now, well, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're a riddle. I'm caught up in the middle of you. I'm trying to think bigger, but I can't seem to figure it through. I wanna make it better, but now I'm scared of looking a fool. Oh, baby, no, I've never been very good at playing it cool. Just when I think I understand it all, I find I know nothing at all. Ooh, I never know nobody
This is Keith Grieve here with your late night sports radio scoreboard check. Heading to the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs leading the Cleveland Cavaliers 95-88 with 48 seconds remaining in the game. Check that, 95-90. That's right, up to the moment scores here. In the third quarter, the Sacramento Kings over the Utah Jazz 59-47. The Raptors over the Magic 106-103 in overtime. The Bulls beating the Sixers 115-111 in overtime. The Grizzlies edging the Pistons 103-101. NCAA top 25 men.
You ever edge a Piston before?
Not on purpose. Number 18, Arizona over Washington with 11 minutes to go in the second half, 66-48. Number 25, Gonzaga over BYU, 11 minutes left in the second half there, 54-43. Number 20, Pittsburgh trailing number 21, Louisville, in Louisville, 35-25 there midway through the second half. And a final, number 16, Iowa upsetting Michigan State, number 4, Michigan State, that is, 76-59.
For the second time this year.
Yeah, woohoo! On the frozen pond in the NHL in the third period, it's the Hurricanes 3, the St. Louis Blues 1, the Jets 4, Predators 2 in the third period there. The Avalanche 2, Devils nothing in the second there. Coyotes over the Red Wings 1-0 in the second there. And a final, the Islanders over the Rangers, the Battle of New York 3-1. The Islanders taking the home ice advantage there. And the Capitals beating the Canucks 4-1. The Blackhawks beat the Canadiens 2-1. And later tonight, the Oilers travel to San Jose. I'm Keith Grieve, and this has been your late night sports radio scoreboard check.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
On LateNightSportsRadio.com. You can like the Johnnie Bobbo Show on Facebook. And there we are again with our second David Bowie song of the evening. That is Heroes. We are doing the David Bowie Love Fest because dude means a lot to me. It meant a lot to me, and kind of helps you get to where you are, and you kind of realize when something like that passes. You know what I mean? It's a big deal in terms of, normally a celebrity death doesn't really affect me all that much, but his did because of what he meant, what he stood for, yada, yada. So we'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. But Joe Ostrowski joined us at Joe O670, WSCR 670 The Score. He's on the radio later tonight in Chicago. Feel free to give that a listen. But later on, we're bringing in NFL analyst Eric Edholm of Yahoo Sports and 120 Sports. And, that was our guy, Keith Grieve, with the fantastic late night sports radio scoreboard check. One story that I didn't see on there. Actually, no, wait, Bob, you had something, right? You got cut off there?
Yeah, well, I was going to ask Keith. I'm not a huge hockey fan. I can dabble in discussing hockey. However, Keith, would you think that the NHL would be well served if they did kind of a college, in saving money as well, kind of a college hockey type of format where they do 3-game series weekends and then like a 2-game series during the week or something like that? Do you think that the NHL would be better served if they did something like that?
I guess I'd have to ask, like, what do you get out of that? I mean, you trying to like tantalize fans with like a mini series? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're like, okay, well, you get fans kind of juiced. Like, I mean, like, not that the Rangers or Islanders. Now, I don't watch hockey. Don't know much about these, what the crowds are like, but I would assume a weekend series between the Islanders and Rangers would be a big draw at the Garden. Or actually, you know what? The whole thing probably has to do with getting the arena for that time. So,
I think that's part of it, but one of the other things would be, when these teams do come through and it's like only the single games, those single games get a huge draw. The only benefit to having, I would see from their perspective, money wise, and especially with Gary Bettman, that's all he's concerned about.
Yeah, he's not doing a very good job of it usually.
Right. Well, but I mean, it would be the benefit to having the series would be you can make it into a trip. You know what I mean? Then it becomes more of a travel thing where you have a group of guys that are going to, for instance, one of the big games every year for the Blackhawks is Nashville. For whatever reason, especially a lot of South Side Chicago people, a lot that I know, they all head down to Nashville against the Predators because that's just one of those fun road trips. Apparently,
Oh God, you're talking about the hockey team.
Yes, the Nashville Predators.
Not Sandusky type Predators.
No, that's Pennsylvania. Bad things happen in Pennsylvania, but we'll leave it at that. Yeah, I'm not a big Pennsylvania fan. But anyways,
Okay, well, let's get off that topic. But that was just a thought of mine that I'd like to see a weekend series or something type of thing. Well, maybe you just do your one game during the week and then a 3-game series on the weekend. I don't know. It just kind of crossed my mind why they do it in college hockey, obviously to save money.
Do you think that a 3-game
consider that, or if NHL fans would like that?
Do you think a 3-game series would sway the casual fan to caring about hockey?
No, but the current format is not really doing that either.
Correct.
yeah.
So
Try something
I
new.
mean,
I
there's
prefer
gotta be a way.
back-to-back home away games.
Do what?
The back-to-back home away games, where it's one night you're home, the next night you travel in between the games to go to the other city, and then you're the away team. I never understood that. Didn't make any sense.
And then also do like a series points or type of thing or whatever. I don't know. I'm not. I mean the NBA. I would like them to go to the what was formerly the CBA, the Continental Basketball Association, their format of quarter points, where you get points per quarter. Like if you win a quarter, you get a point for that. So it does not.
Cool.
It doesn't incentivize once you get up by 14 and if you're up by 14 in the second half, it doesn't incentivize just tanking it and just kind of limping home. It winning by 1 or whatever incentivizes you keeping the lead or whatnot. So I wish the NBA would go to some type of format, or even the NBA D League. But I'm just I'm an ideas guy. I'm not. Would it work? I don't know. Who knows? But it would just make things a little bit more interesting, in my opinion.
I still love your robot umpires suggestion.
That
That's
was a good idea.
Yeah, you
What
got
about my idea for a best of 7 in the NFL playoffs? Each round is a best of 7. You play it every Sunday. So then it would be like, it would take an entire year to finish a season.
I don't know where you're going with this, Bob, but I do know that there
It's
is.
a terrible idea. Nobody would do it because they can't do it now because Will Smith came out with that movie.
God, and it doesn't even I don't know. Whatever. I'm saving that thought. But anyways, Lawrence Phillips. This is a story that we really didn't get a chance to get into with Bob's or with our guy Keith's scoreboard checks. It's not a scoreboard item, but it is a hot topic, a headline here. Lawrence Phillips, imprisoned ex-NFL rusher, dies in suspected suicide. He's a former star running back for Nebraska, first-round draft pick, and pro career pretty much just fell apart relatively quickly due to disciplinary problems.
6 overall in '96. He was pretty much out of the NFL by '99.
Well,
The biggest controversy of his playing career, however, was he drug a woman down the stairs. Ironically, the woman who he drugged down the stairs was sleeping with Scott Frost, who is now the head coach at the University of Central Florida, who Nebraska fans want to be the next head coach once Mike Riley gets fired, and won the 1997-98 national championship for the Huskers. That's who was sleeping with his girlfriend at the time. Lawrence Phillips then was able to play in the Fiesta Bowl, which was, quote-unquote, Tom Osborne was trying to do the right, try to be a good influence in this guy's life, try to, get him back on the right path, and it didn't work then, and it never worked. And Osborne has gotten a lot of flack for it over the years, and I think he deserves a lot more flack than he gets for that. keep in mind this is a guy that I got kind of a mocking picture with a couple of years ago, or a year or so ago, Tom Osborne. But Osborne has done a lot of good things for a lot of people, but there's a lot of things that people know about behind the scenes that Husker fans will not bring up because they want to protect the program. You know who else wanted to protect the program? Penn State. I'm not saying that what Osborne has done, whether it be hiding a gun or letting Lawrence Phillips play in the Fiesta Bowl in '96, are on par with what was done at Happy Valley. But to protect the program is not really in the best interest. Also, with this Lawrence Phillips thing, yes, he killed himself. But the Omaha, Lincoln media, these news stations, actually, one of my guests on Sunday is going to be Josh Peterson, who I'm interviewing tomorrow. There's been a lot of sadness in the, oh, this is so sad. If this guy wasn't an athlete, nobody would give two shits, okay? If this was not an athlete, if this was just if you look at his rap sheet and you find out, oh, hey, this is just Joe Schmo who's in the local prison, he kills himself, we're like, oh, who gives a crap? It's a piece of crap. It's just a piece of shit in the local prison. No big deal. Maybe his family cares, but that's about it. You look at Lawrence Phillips' rap sheet, and you're like, oh, well, that's just a sad story. This is just a sad, sad thing that's happened to a great talent. Yes, it's sad. Yes, his demise was sad. But he was a terrible human being. He beat women.
Yeah.
He ran over 3 people with his car, and he killed somebody in prison. And, was it self-defense? Did he kill him on purpose? It was never proven it was in self-defense. Just a shit human being. And I want to bring this also up. The same people that are in the local Nebraska media who were so steadfast on, hey, Mike Vick should be murdered for what he did. Ray Rice, Gray Hardy, these are horrible human beings, are saying we need to understand what Lawrence Phillips was going through in his life. Yes, he has demons. I have demons. I have social anxiety. I have depression. I think not great thoughts, but you know what? I don't kill people. I don't beat women. I don't run people over with my car. That have those thoughts run through everybody's mind. Everybody's mind has run through the idea of, hey, should I punch this person in the face? And then you think twice, and you're like, no. Okay, maybe Lawrence Phillips does not have that filter of, hey, I'm going to punch this person in the face. I'm going to punch this woman in the face. Maybe he doesn't have that filter, and maybe he had a rough upbringing. But that doesn't mean we need to understand, why do we need to understand his situation when Ray Rice's career and life were basically he made a horrible decision in punching his wife in the face, or his fiance in the face. It was on camera, and Roger Goodell made a horrible mistake and then made an example of Ray Rice because Roger Goodell was an idiot. And Ray Rice's life was ruined. Ray Rice is not on the same level as Lawrence Phillips. And then you look at Adrian Peters. The only situation I can think of is Adrian Peterson, where we're like, oh, well, let's understand that he was raised this way. No, nobody's okay. If he was raised that way to beat the crap out of a child, then his father should be in prison too. Well, actually, his father was in prison. But
and guess what? When he beats his child, that's what his kids are. Well, that's the way I was raised. Well, guess what? That's the way you're raising your kids. So what's your kid going to do now? Grow up and beat his kids? I mean, it's a cycle, man. I mean, there's no need for it. I mean, and then you hear Tom Osborne, he's talking about how he feels really bad because he had a lot of potential, an athlete, intelligent guy. And, to quote him here, he says, he made some mistakes and had some negatives, but he wasn't quite the evil person that some people might think he was. Okay, listen, you're serving 31 years to begin with, since 2000.
Beating a woman and running 3 people over with your car.
2005, yep. And then, when was it here? He ended up, Yeah, running the other people over. I mean, it just absolutely ridiculous. The whole situation for anybody to be apologizing and needing to understand. I mean, why don't you understand some of the issues that that deserve it? You know what I mean? Like some of the gay rights things, and these things where, I mean, it's a genetic thing, and it doesn't make anybody bad, doesn't make anybody good. It's just you are who you are, and that's completely different. You know what I mean? Even if he does have some anger management issue. We all have it, dude. You know what I mean? You find the help that you need, and either you go with it or you don't. And this is a guy that had no self-control, and now look where he's at. You know?
I mean, I love sports, but if we are sports almost kind of ruin society. Like, if we're so broken as a society, like, I just don't understand the people that can't admit. Okay, well, the other factor is people are talking about, well, he kept writing letters to try to get protection while he was in prison. And I'm completely on board with somebody going to prison and, hey, go, you want to get rehabilitated, get protection. You want to use this as a learning experience. I am completely on board with that. So Lawrence Phillips, and he was sharing a cell with a convicted murderer and killed the guy. Now, okay, say we agree that it is in self-defense. What he did was in self-defense. It doesn't negate. Okay, if he doesn't beat a woman, if he doesn't run somebody over with his car 3 times, he's not put in that situation. He put himself in that situation. He was in that situation. Did the penal system hurt him? Yes, it did. Did it fail him? Yes, but he also failed himself. The foster care system failed him. There was a lot of failing of Lawrence Phillips, but he also did enough failing the system as well that,
Yeah, he fought it. I mean, he's a little help, man.
It just bugs me that there's defense of what he did there's defense of his life. There should be no defense of what he did.
Right.
He's just a fucking monster. And he was a fucking monster. He beat women. He ran people over with this car. I can't say that enough. Anybody that lays a hand on a woman or a child, should be put in prison for life and throw away the key. That's just, it's simple as that. And I understand, there's a lot of people that say, well, women get a free swing at a man. So what? Have enough self-control to not swing back. I've known a lot of terrible women. I've never hit one. So,
Yeah,
and I've
right.
a lot. So, I think if I've been drunk a lot and I haven't hit a woman when there's been the opportunity, I think most people should be able to handle themselves in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, and now you look at a guy, our next guest here, Eric Edholm. He wrote an article for Yahoo Sports, talking about how tough it would be to bring back a guy like Greg Hardy. You know what I mean? We're another bad guy. Where there's constant off the field problems, constant locker room problems. You know what I mean? He has no respect for authority or discipline or anything. I'm just gonna go out there and do what I want because regardless, somehow he's gonna have a job. You know what I mean? He made things so awkward there where you have Jeremy Mincy's talking about, dude, him coming back ain't happening. Like it's things got that ugly.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things Mincy said, he goes, regardless of how great of an athlete he is, regardless of this and that, it's they're not mentally on the same page, and you're not going to get the same results, and that's the truth. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I think Greg Hardy isn't the exact same guy that Lawrence Phillips was, but I mean when you look at those just the bad characters that you somehow just find around the NFL. I don't know. It's just disturbing. I mean, why do you think that is? I mean, because the media is still going to be there. I mean, obviously, the NFL is, the spotlight is on it all the time. Everyone's got the magnifying glass on it. But when it comes down to it, it's just the media is still there, regardless of the sport. You know what I mean? Well, at least when it comes down to the big three with, basketball and NFL and Major League Baseball. You can throw NHL in there too. You still don't seem to come up with these problems, in these other sports as often or as egregious as you do in the NFL.
I will say this. NFL, I want to get into this. Maybe we'll get into this later, or
Save
but okay, one thing, the NFL. Okay, you got 53 people on a roster over 30 teams. I don't know what the math comes out to there, but that's a lot of players in the NFL. And so you got a lot more, but you also got a lot more monsters as far as, you have to be.
You have to have that killer instinct.
To play linebacker, to play safety, to play offensive line. I mean, I think you have a lot more just bad dudes. Just by per capita, you're probably gonna have more. With more people, you have more bad dudes.
Right.
And I think that's what's kind of the deal in the NFL. I just think, as far as the NFL, it's just more people. That's the issue, and you got that. Just you got. I mean, if you got a guy with a violent history, that's kind of looked at as a plus. Okay, well,
right.
This guy obviously has some aggression behind him. Let's turn that into something on the football field. Not to mention that he's still a psycho off the field and can still beat the crap out of, whoever the hell he's living with at the time. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with MMA or whatever, War Machine, whoever it was with MMA. But some people I think football has more guys that don't know when to turn that switch off. And then you factor in head trauma, concussions, whatnot, it probably spikes the levels a little bit. So that's my theory. And the concussion movie, a lot of people claim Lawrence Phillips' issues. They're like, oh, well, was his issues related to concussions? No, he was a horrible human being before that. So
yeah, no, I mean that seemed pretty evident, but we'll get into that maybe a little bit later here because when we come back here, we got our guy, football expert and NFL analyst Eric Edholm of Yahoo Sports and 120 Sports. He's going to give you the best divisional round analysis you're going to hear this weekend. So you need to tune in for that. If you have any opinions on any of that stuff, Lawrence Phillips, you want to talk a little bit NFL, give us a call, 585-633-7487. Otherwise, give us a tweet at LN Sports Radio. Later on in the show, we're going to continue the David Bowie stuff with our guy Chris Neville of Tributosaurus. He's going to join us for Cody Vancura's segment, Celebratory 40s, because we're going to celebrate Bowie when we get back here on the Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio and your speaker app.
Maybe I could offer up
If I was a snake and you were a mouse, would you run from me? Should we stay forever apart? Would you make me free? I don't really care if you love me. Hold my heart at last. I don't really care if you need me. I should leave you fast. If I was a snake, I would be so wise. Never let you in. Would my life be terribly nice? Would my poison kill? I don't really care if you love me. Hold my heart at last. I don't really care if you need me. I should leave you fast. I should leave you I don't really care if you love me. Hold my heart at last. I don't really care if you need me. I should leave you fast. I should leave you fast, 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 fast. I should leave you fast.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Still don't know what I was waiting for.
Johnnie Bobbo Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com, and we are continuing with the David Bowie theme because that's what we're doing tonight. We're going to get later on in the show here. We're going to talk to our guy Chris Neville of Tributosaurus and also owns Wire with our guy Cody Van Kira of Celebratory 40s. But before we do all that, our guy Eric Edholm of Yahoo Sports, 120 Sports. There's constantly things all over the place on the internet for you to find. How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing great, especially now that you brought me in with some Bowie. It's been a bittersweet week. I mean, on the one hand, we lost him. On the other, I feel like I've been celebrating his music more than I have in the last few years. So I appreciate that very much.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of the craziest thing. I was talking a little bit earlier about, celebrity deaths don't really bother you all that much for the most part, but for whatever reason, because for everything he meant and his music on top of it, I sent a list of songs to Keith, like to possibly use for rejoins or this or that. And it's a long list of songs that, to pick from just because, like I said, just meant a lot. And I'm glad you get down to David Bowie as well.
Yeah, no, he reinvented himself every few years. What an artist. Unbelievable.
Yeah, how about it? Well,
let me just say this on Bowie.
This is Bob, by the way.
he's the one of the few people that over the last like 5 years where you haven't seen anything bad said about him since his death. Like there's a lot of guys where it's just like
I don't think I've
you can
ever
find
heard
one or two things to pick at. Bowie, there's really not.
Yeah, no, he's always those clean guys. So let me ask you this, Eric. You know, we bring you out 'cause you're an NFL analyst. You know, you talk NCAA, you do all that stuff, but the NFL, that's the big deal, man. Divisional round. We have the AFC. We kind of touched on the NFC a little bit earlier with Joe Ostrowski, WSCR 670, the score. But looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 6th seed, heading in against the Denver Broncos, what's going to happen here? I mean, the Steelers, they certainly don't want to see Landry Jones out there and for Roethlisberger, but are they in worse shape if Antonio Brown isn't on the field?
Yeah, I mean, you can't win without Ben Roethlisberger. I'm convinced of that. I've seen enough of Landry Jones this year, preseason, regular season. I mean, he's just not a good quarterback. Certainly not starting caliber. I don't mean to offend any Oklahoma fans or people who really anyone in Landry Jones' family, but I just don't think he can get it done. But if they're without Antonio, he's their second most indispensable player. I mean, Martavis Bryant responded to some criticism last week. Had a big catch for a touchdown, an unbelievable catch for a touchdown.
Right.
Marcus Whedon has had a 200-yard game this season. Darius Hayward-Bay is one of those guys that everybody kind of scoffs at, but every now and then he'll make a tremendous play and make some shockingly difficult catches, even though he drops the easy one. So you still have 3 wide receivers that I think can get it done in a 1 or 2 game, kind of deal, but yeah, losing Brown would be a real tough one, especially if you watch that last matchup against the Broncos. I mean, he ate Chris Harris' lunch. I mean, you're talking about one of the best slot corners in the NFL, and he had no solutions for him. So keeping an eye on Brown's health, at this point, it looks a little doubtful. It certainly changes the game plan, though, if he's not in the lineup.
Yeah, and I mean, when you do look at the whole situation, I mean, you have a guy like Peyton Manning. This is his first start since November. He's been seemingly fading. And then you have, Roethlisberger. Even if he does play, he has a weak winged at this point. Who winds up looking better? Do you think when it comes down to this matchup?
That's a great question because I mean, I think the expectations, fairly or not, are that Peyton's going to bounce back. You look where he was sort of start of the season. Okay, they managed his health a little bit. And, he got off to a slow start, but after the bye, he looked great against the Packers. Then he came out, the last time out 2 weeks ago, and looked fine. I mean, I thought he made 2 really nice throws, but mostly handed off, and it at least spurred the offense a little bit. Osweiler's probably not even an option, really, because his knee has been bothering him. He didn't practice this week, so it's Peyton or bust at this point. I don't know what the expectations are. I don't really know what the realistic expectations are, especially against the Steelers defense that has gained confidence and has gotten better than I thought they would get. Starting to become one of those units that holds you to field goals, that makes some turnovers, and they may give up some yards, but they'll hold you down in spots. So it's pretty interesting to watch. And I almost think that Roethlisberger, the expectations with that injury are that he has nowhere to go but up. It's not like people think he's going to go out there and throw 4 picks. We know he's tough. We know how much of a gamer he is and all that. But I almost feel like this guy has a way of delivering in big situations when the odds are stacked against him that, I almost feel like he may come out looking better even if they don't win the game.
Yeah.
Do you feel with looking into the Pittsburgh and Denver game, do you feel like Roethlisberger, he's been here before where he's been banged up, kind of on his last wheel. Peyton Manning, for the most part, he gets banged up, but he's never been, had limited anything when he's at his best, or even in the playoffs other than last year, and he struggled last year.
He's a toughest.
Do you feel like Roethlisberger is best suited for a situation like this?
Yeah, I mean, if there's a guy who's going to be put and thrust into that situation and asked to throw, and here's the thing, the torn ligaments, believe it or not, I mean, yeah, there's pain involved with that, but the AC sprain is really what's going to cause him a ton of pain. By the end of the day, I mean, his arms will be hanging by a thread. And that AC sprain, I've talked to guys who've had it, guys who don't throw the football, cornerbacks, linebackers, wide receivers, et cetera. They say when you go, reach back. When your arm is cocked back like a guy would be throwing a football, it is the most excruciating pain with that AC sprain. So that, maybe even more so than the ligaments, are going to be what's causing him the discomfort. So he's going to undergo surgery in the off season. I mean, I would be shocked if he didn't from this injury. So, I think this everything he's done to this point in his career, he never felt like he was fully healthy. So this is the kind of guy I think who is ready for this moment.
Yeah, like I said, no, go ahead, Bob.
I was also wondering, with looking at the other game in the AFC, the Chiefs and the Patriots, do you feel whoever wins this game, just based on the damage that's done on the injury problems on the other side, that whoever wins this game probably goes to the Super Bowl from the AFC?
I can see it happening. Yeah, and I'm starting to have my doubts about the Patriots. Crazy enough, I actually picked the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl, and I got a couple of sideways looks when I did it. People sort of said to me, wait, you meant the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Okay, let's make sure I double check on this. It certainly didn't look good when they were 1-5, but the way they won some games, I mean, even though unimpressive wins over the San Diego Chargers and Cleveland Browns, kind of having to hold their breath at the end of those games, and beating a Landry Jones-led Steelers team and a couple other games that were, some big point spreads there. But I think some people feel like maybe they're not the best team out there. If they can get Jeremy Maclin to play, it's going to be a big boost. If the Patriots don't have a fully healthy Rob Gronkowski, that hurts. But I think both these teams have a little bit of juice to them. I really do. I think they're both well built. They've got defenses that can play. This is going to be an interesting game. Some people are calling for a Patriots blowout. I don't quite see it like that.
Yeah, and I don't either. And you talked about the fact that Kansas City, they're rolling an 11-game win streak right now. They kind of won some games. Like you said, against Landry Jones, the Steelers, and maybe some unimpressive ones, but they have won 7 games out of 10 on the road, and that includes the Broncos blowout where they blew them out. Was it 29-13? That was a pretty good game. What do you think has at least been the biggest part to this 11-game win streak? Is it simply playing mistake-free football, or does it have to do with just their defense being that good?
Well, a couple of things, really. I mean, obviously, Maclin has turned into a great gameplay. It's kind of made this passing game go a little bit. Travis Kelce's goals expanded from last year. It's crazy that you would lose Jamal Charles and you'd sort of become more balanced. And I'm not saying they're a better team without him. I'm just saying that really kind of forced them to sort of game plan more and really pick through teams' weaknesses and exploit them. The offensive line was not a good group early in the season. I mean, this is a group that was struggling to come together, and they're probably going to have Mitch Morse, a very fine rookie center. He's got a concussion he's been dealing with, but the other guys have kind of glued together. Credit to what they do. Andy Reid has always had good offensive line play. They're not always, but traditionally has had good offensive line play. And so the fact that this group has really come together the way it has been impressive. So that's a big thing. Defensively, they have playmakers on all 3 units. Terry Poe, after back surgery, has really come on. Jay Howard has come on and had a nice second half of the season as well. Even if Houston and Holly aren't screaming off the edge, D4 just had a few moments to do. The back end, you've got Ron Parker's played well. Marcus Peters, the rookie, has done a good job. Sean Smith's back in form. So a lot of good things happened defensively. And Alex Smith has had a really nice year. I mean, a career high in the yards and just taking care of the football. He's a shepherd for the team.
Right. And I mean, kind of one of the things I'm maybe more focused on here is, I mean, you look at this is the number 1 ranked sack season all time, at least for Bill Belichick era. 49 sacks for New England. You have Chandler Jones, 12 and a half sacks, 17 quarterback hits, and knowing that Alex Smith, he's been really good. 7 interceptions, NFL low, and he's been able to carry that efficiency into the postseason. 10 touchdowns, 1 interception in 4 games. But this season, he's been on the move quite a bit, where he has 498 rushing yards, which is number 2 on the team and number 4 amongst the active starting quarterbacks. But he tends to scramble into sacks, which I think that might be an issue here. Kansas City, they've allowed 47 this year. I mean, how do you see that playing out? I mean, are you going to want Alex Smith to stay in that pocket? Are you going to change the game plan a little bit? Or is he better on the run, even though he does run into some sacks?
Right. Yeah, it's great. It's a great observation. I mean, I think he's held onto the ball a lot, in his career. Yeah. It's been one of those things that you look at and you say, just get rid of it, Alex. It's like he's almost sort of thinking, well, I don't want to throw an incomplete pass. Well, you don't want to take a 7-yard loss either, Alex. So let's have the perspective. So it is one of the maddening elements about his game. I mean, he's sort of a game manager who forgets he's a game manager sometimes and will take that unnecessary sack. I mean, they're just not a 3rd and 13 kind of offense. That's just not what they do well. They're not a 2nd and 13 offense. I mean, they'll screen you to death, but, smart teams will exploit that. So, yeah, I think New England's got an edge in terms of the pass rush against their pass blocking. But, at the same time, what do you play against them? I don't know that you just have to sit back and zone all day. I think New England's going to throw a lot more at them than that. Maybe they do some spying here and there, in sort of the obvious scrambling, running situations. That may be one way to solve it, but I think they can live with a couple of his scrambles. I think they'd almost rather put him on the move and just say, we're willing to live with you outside the pocket. Some teams want to have him miss. Some teams say, go ahead and beat us in the pocket. We don't think you can do it. So it's going to be fascinating to see kind of how they attack him.
Now, looking at the Packers and Cardinals, we have clearly the best quarterback matchup of the year with Scott Tolzien versus Drew Stanton.
Right.
But,
yes.
Yeah. But looking at the Cardinals and Packers, I don't like Aaron Rodgers because of how it's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like Quentin Tarantino. I like his movies, but I hate how much people tell me how good they are. And that's kind of like with Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees. I hate them because everybody tells me how good they are. And I don't really think, they're good, but I don't think they're just God's gift to the world. I do, and then the other thing that pisses me off is the thing with Carson Palmer. Oh, he's not a big game quarterback. Well, he's played in 2 playoff games, both coached by Marvin Lewis, who's not a good big game coach, and one, Carson Palmer tore his ACL on the first play of that game. So Carson Palmer, I can't really say I don't trust him. Aaron Rodgers is just as unreliable, in my opinion, as as Carson Palmer. And the last time he was in the desert in the playoffs, they lost.
Yeah, and that was an unbelievable game. If memory serves, we're talking about the same game. I mean, that was Kurt Warner's second to last game, if I can remember correctly, and I think it was Rodgers' first playoff game. But yeah, and even 3 weeks ago, I mean, the Cardinals just dissected them. I mean, they absolutely took them apart, and it was ruthless. It was an avalanche, and they came after them. I think this game will be closer. I don't know how much, the playoff experience edge is going to be there for Rodgers in the sense that I think, his 13th or 14th playoff game. It'll be the third for Palmer. I think Carson Palmer's played enough big games this season. He played the Bengals through 2 early picks, rallied and beat them. Went up to Seattle, got a big lead, stormed out to a big one, withstood the big rush of the Seahawks, and won in Seattle. Dropped 39 points on the Seahawks in Seattle. I mean, that counts for something. To me, that's a playoff-like atmosphere. It's a playoff-like game against a team that had humbled them twice the year before and overtook the division. They were up 3 games in week 13 or whatever it was. So, I feel like those are playoff-like tests for Carson Palmer. He's 36. It was 10 years ago that Kimo von Olfhoffen tore his ACL. He's had a tremendous season. If Cam Newton hadn't done what he'd done, I think Carson Palmer is your MVP. I really do. As great as Tom Brady was, Dalton before he got hurt. So I think Carson Palmer deserves a lot of MVP mention this year. Now what Cam did was probably on a different level, but so I like his chances. Even if Sam Shields plays, even if the Packers get David Bakhtiari back, he didn't play in the first game against them. Hasn't played in the last couple games. They need all the offensive line help they can get. Everybody's banged up, playing different spots. Even all those things considered, even with the Packers sort of getting on a little roll last week, I still think the Cardinals are a better football team. I don't know that they're going to go out and beat them 38-8 again. Just doesn't seem likely. But I think they're just going to wear him down, and I don't know they're going to be able to stop that aerial attack of Chris Arians' passing offense.
Do you feel that, I mean, this might not be a popular question, it might sound stupid right now, but do you think in this game Mike McCarthy's on a little bit of thin ice with how they perform?
I think had they lost last week, I think people might have been shocked that there actually has been a little bit of a ripple going through the NFL channels, I would say. I've talked to people before the Redskins-Packers game. One guy who used to work in Green Bay years ago, and he said he called him my boy. I don't know why. He thinks Mike McCarthy's suddenly my guy or something. I love McCarthy, but he said, I think your boy's in a little trouble here. And I said, really? You know, that kind of surprised me a little bit. The more I thought of it, you know, they were 6-0 and they were rolling. And you know, Rodgers was in MVP form. He was great. Everything seemed great. Who needs Jordy Nelson, all that stuff? Well, they just hit the skids. They were 4-6. Rodgers didn't play well. The O-line didn't play well. The receivers couldn't separate. Eddie Lacy was fat or apathetic or whatever he was. You know, all these different factors. And, you know, some people pinned it squarely on Mike McCarthy's head. Why did he give up play calling, you know, duties? Why did he not rest them back sooner than he did from Tom Clements? So I thought it was a little unfair. I thought it was a little too much on McCarthy's head. Yes, it's his team, but you know, I think last week was big. I think he did sort of stave off much talk about him being in any kind of trouble job-wise.
Yeah, and now, you know, kind of talking about, you know, staving off some issues here. We got a guy like Greg Olsen, the first meeting of the Seahawks and the Panthers. You know, Olsen went off 7 receptions, 131 yards, game-winning touchdown. Plus, you know, you take that into consideration with the fact that Seattle has allowed opposing tight ends to rack up 873 yards, 75 receptions, and 8 touchdowns. I'm assuming Cam Chancellor is going to get the block here. You know, what is he going to be able to do to stifle Greg Olsen's production?
Yeah, and at that point when they faced him earlier in the season, I mean, Cam had just gotten back. Remember, you know, he'd missed all of, you know, training camp, all of preseason. The team started 0-2. He rode in on his white horse. Everybody patted on his back. He scored money, blah, blah. He made the great play against Detroit. But I think people who watched him on a play-by-play basis saw that he was still in August form. This was a guy who looked like he was getting ready for his second preseason game, not you know, key divisional matchup and then a key conference game against the Panthers. So I think there was some catch-up speed that he had to sort of kick in a little bit, and I think they kind of got the best of him. Plus, Seahawks don't play a lot of true man-to-man. They will show it to you. They'll throw it out there now and then, but they're a lot of cover 2, a lot of cover 3. That's kind of they play 2 coverages and 2 fronts. I mean, they're one of the most vanilla defenses in the league. They're just better at it than most people. So as the season's gone on, I mean, you look at last week, I only saw one play where Rudolph beat him, and that was at the very end of the game, last drive. And Kyle Rudolph got him on a deep out route, ran down the sideline. You know, Cam missed the tackle on that one, but otherwise he held him down. Rudolph didn't have a single catch. So seen better play out of Cam Chancellor led down the stretch, and he is that guy that can lock up the tight end, and we'll pick him up on blitzes and stuff. So that's a great matchup, and that has to be edge Seattle if they have a shot, because I'm not scared of Ted Ginn, who's been a little banged up. I'm not scared of Jonathan Stewart, who's been banged up. I don't know that there's anybody else that really puts the fear in you besides Greg Olsen on the Panthers team.
Yeah, and one of our last, we're talking to Eric Edholm of Yahoo Sports, Eric_Edholm on the Twitter bot. You know, with Ron Rivera now going through and having to improvise a secondary with Tillman out and Beanie out, you know, do you think the Panthers have enough for a full 60-minute effort to halt the Seahawks' bid for a third Super Bowl trip here in 3 years?
It's going to be tough. I really think it is. I think these are evenly matched teams. I know Roman Harper came out and said, hey, at the end of the day, we're a better team. Yes, record-wise, you know, over the course of the season, even head-to-head back in the previous matchup, they have been the better team. There's no doubt about it. The Seahawks have had this sort of strange year, a little up and down, and maybe not the same team as they were a year ago, or certainly not 2 years ago. But they're still dangerous. And I think, you know, I don't believe in momentum, especially not in the playoffs. I really don't. I guess if you're hot, you're hot. But they stared into the abyss last week. They should have lost that game, and I think they know it. I think they should be pretty self-aware at this point that they were lucky to get out of Minnesota with a W, came down to a missed kick. You know, they kind of gave it up on defense there at the end. So I think they're going to put that fire and energy into this game and realize we're lucky to be here. Now we've got to come through and play twice as well as we did up in the cold. The weather's not going to be an issue here. It's a Panthers team that's going to probably be a little bit rusty offensively. Defensively, they haven't played their best ball down the stretch. It's been okay, but ever since about Thanksgiving, they started, after that game, they kind of tailed off a little defensively. So I think the Seahawks can have some success. And as you mentioned, that's secondary. They can go vertical. That changes things. I don't know if Marshawn Lynch is playing. At this point, I almost don't care. I think it's going to be Tyler Lockett and Doug Baldwin, those two guys, and Russell Wilson putting the ball and putting some air under it, because that's what they've done. That's what they've done down the stretch and remade their offense.
Yep. And there he is, Eric Edholm, at Eric_Edholm on Twitter, Yahoo Sports, Shutdown Corner blog, football analyst, NFL, college, fantasy, all that fun stuff for 120 Sports, and the Football Fix Show as well. Where can we find a lot of your work here? I know you do a lot of work for Yahoo Sports, but where can we find it?
Yeah, that's my main gig. I cover the NFL for the Shutdown blog, Shutdown Corner blog. Frank Schwab runs the show over there. Shalise Manzi-Young, who covered the Patriots for a decade. She joined the staff this year. So primarily the three of us. We have a lot of other people who help us out. And you guys should check out The Fix every day at noon Eastern, 11 Central, on 120sports.com. We talk college, we talk NFL. We have fun. We have great guests come in, great relationships with SI, with the NFLPA. We get players on and stuff. So, yeah, we do definitely have a good time Monday to Friday on the Football Fix on 120 Sports.
Yeah, and that's the truth too. And I love 120 Sports because they're really active on social media. So they're always
Thank you. Yeah.
No, you guys do a great job with that. I mean, you realize how important it is to, not only just put out the content, but it's quality stuff. Even with Lawrence Holman, what he does.
Yep.
But the videos, man, those are fantastic. So keep up the great work, man. I really appreciate it, Eric.
Thank you. No, yeah, we have a great time over there. There's a lot of good people who work in there, a lot of talented folks, and it's gaining a lot of steam. So I have two great jobs that I love doing.
All right, well, fantastic. Thank you so much, Eric. And again, that's Eric Edholm, Eric_Edholm on Twitter. 120 Sports, Yahoo Sports. And when we come back here, we're going to talk to our guy, Chris Neville of Tributosaurus, share some of his Bowie stories and nuggets that he's dug up after excavating some of his a number of his tracks. So David Bowie love continues when we get back here with Celebratory 40s and Cody Vancura on the Johnnie Bobbo Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com and your Spreaker app.
Too far away, and I know you till so far away. I know you can't walk away from the things you say, the things you say, yeah, the price you pay, the price you pay for love. Can't walk away from the things you say, the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for love. No, no, no. Can't walk away from the things you say, the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for love. Can't walk away from the things you say, the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for love. Can't walk away
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
I'm an alligator. I'm a mama, papa coming for you. I'm the space invader. I'll be a rock and rollin' bitch for you. Keep your mouth shut. Just walking like a big monkey bird. And I'm busting up my brains for the world.
Back to the Johnnie Bobbo Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com. The Bowie Madness continues. That's what we're doing around here. David Bowie means a lot to an incredible amount of people. The famous or not. We're our guy Chris Neville of Tributosaurus and Cody Van Cura's with us. Celebratory 40s here. And let me ask you, Chris, what did David Bowie generally mean to you, sir? I mean, because like I said, it's one of the celebrity deaths that actually bothered me. You know what I mean? Celebrity dies, meh. Yeah, okay, whatever, that's fine. But a guy like David Bowie, everything he stood for, just a true icon. What did he mean to you?
I had a similar experience, actually. It surprised me how hard it hit me when I heard he died. I mean, he's such an innovator. He was fearless and did so many things that nobody else did, and was good at it. Plus, he really was an amazing songwriter. Some of the stuff he wrote was unbelievable. I mean, I can't say that I'm a fan of every song in his catalog, but the ones I love are really at the top of my list. I love them. So it hits me hard when he went.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I was talking to Keith, before the show, and sent him a variety of David Bowie songs. I'm like, all right, here I'm gonna list off a few for him, and it ended up being his very incredibly long list. I didn't realize like how many there were, but like you said, he had a big catalog. There's a lot. His discography is huge, but his sound has just changed so much. I mean, when you hear a song like "I'm Afraid of Americans," where he hooked up with Trent Reznor and just all the different people, the Pixies. So I mean that was kind of always a big deal to me. But I mean, when you hear the term icon, it always seems like it kind of can be misused. And I mean, how would you at least describe his impact to this point, to at least the industry and allowing people to feel free to be who they are and to produce music that actually has a message behind it?
Yeah, and I think that really was his biggest contribution, and the stamp that he was behind is, like I said, he was fearless. He played with every single thing that people hold dear and turned it upside down and did it differently and screwed around with a lot of sort of sacred cows of rock and roll and music and what it means to be a superstar. And I think he was really successful with that in almost every case. And, there's just, it's rare to find somebody who's willing to just take every chance that comes his way and really put his heart into it.
Yeah. But before I make way to Cody here, I got one more question for you. But
sure.
For those who don't know or just assume that Tributosaurus is another cover band, and I mean, trust me, Matt Spiegel, he put me in check. It was great. He took the bait. set cover band, and he big time. It was fantastic. But can you explain to some people that don't know maybe how much work goes into you replicating a particular artist that Tributosaurus is taking over, and maybe what are some of the nuggets or a nugget or something that you discovered having done research on David Bowie?
I mean, as far as what makes Tributosaurus maybe different from standard cover band is, first of all, format. We do a tribute to a single artist every show, and our whole charter is that we try to recreate the sounds of the recording as exactly as possible. Which means sometimes, when you're doing a band that you think, we did the Police, you think, it's 3 guys, so you'll have 3 guys. Well, that's not true, because even those 3 guys on the recordings, there's 4 guitar tracks, there's keyboards on it, there, all this stuff you gotta put it in. So typically our bands end up being bigger than the bands are doing because we're trying to recreate all the things that they did in overdubs. And we work very hard at it. I mean, we have string sections or horn sections. When we did Paul Simon, we had to get like a Native American flute section for El Condor Pasa. Or, we're doing Queen at the end of this month. I got 24 singers in a choir for that. It's a real. I mean, everyone is. It presents its own challenges, but it's really interesting, and I think we do it extremely well. We've been doing it a long time now, and I just don't think anybody does it as well as we do without trying to sound like I'm tooting our own too much. We've been doing it a long time, and I think we do it very well. So.
Yeah, and I just love how many people get involved. But Cody, you had a question here for Chris Neville?
Yeah, hey Chris. Over the break before we went on the air, you were mentioning how the Wires in Berwyn and Fitzgerald, and there's also the Nightlight for younger kids. Do you think maybe in a few years Berwyn will be a big place for local music?
I think it's already headed that way. I mean, Berwyn's been very. The city itself has been very proactive in trying to draw people out from the city and change the demographic, and that's been happening pretty consistently over the last few years. I mean, just in the last couple of years, the age group has changed, the demographics are changing. It's a great town to begin with. But, with Fitzgerald's and us, and also I got to mention the Friendly Tap, which is right between a small tavern but 2 music stages and does music all the time. We've got really good stuff going on here, and there's good restaurants and all that stuff. We all, these are all my friends. These guys own these places. Bill and I have known each other for 30 years. And Rob Pierce, who owns the Friendly Tap, is actually downstairs in the bar right now listening to one of my bands. So it's we're all trying to pull in the same direction, make something special here. And I think it's already happening. So
yeah,
that's awesome. Oh, go ahead, Johnny.
No. Go ahead, Cody, please.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say.
You know what? Okay, if you two aren't going to take the next question, I will. Okay. As far as my question goes, have you ever met John Mueller, the guy who impersonates Buddy Holly on stage? And is there, when you're, when there's a tribute band, or how tempting is it, to either do a tribute to dress up like the band or dress up like the artist? Do you do that? How do you go about?
No, we don't do that. We don't do that. I mean, part of what we're about is we're about the music itself. We're not about the visuals and the show. And I mean, look at David Bowie. I mean, visuals are such a big part of his thing, but really our focus is on the music itself. That's what we do. So now there have been occasions we've done a couple little goofy things just to do it, but we don't dress up like a band, and we don't. We try not to do that stuff.
And I appreciate the hell out of that, because every time I've seen Tributosaurus, it's always been phenomenal. I've seen you do Prince and a number of other different acts, but it's, like you said, the music is spot on, in terms of all the great lengths that you go through to replicate stuff, especially, I mean, everything that you all did with the Beatles was absolutely incredible. So I thoroughly
that was a hell of a project, yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, all the musicians that you bring in for that, but the fact that there is a little dialogue in between songs, and the good thing about that, it's still funny talk, but they help you appreciate the music that you're listening to, and I just think it's a great thing, for any band to go out there and do is help people appreciate the songs that they know and why they're there and why they're listening to them.
Absolutely. And I mean, there are people who maybe think we talk a little bit too much, but when they start their own band, they don't have to talk as much.
Yeah. Kind of getting into the whole thing with Wire now. I mean, what is the overall mission? I mean, obviously you're looking to provide a place for artists, you know, to affordably produce music, you know, and you know, provide opportunities for others. But I mean, how much is this of you know, Wire is about teaching, connecting, supporting others, encouraging, and providing those opportunities for others that maybe you didn't have it. You know what I mean? When you were trying to make it as a musician, is that kind of what it's about?
I mean, that's certainly part of the thing. I mean, when I first came up with the idea for it, the whole idea was just to have a space where a lot of the professional players I play with would feel comfortable in, not just to play, but to hang out in, be able to sort of interface with people they maybe don't get a chance to work with a lot, or with younger people or amateurs who don't get a chance to talk to someone who's actually doing what they're trying to get to, and make it just sort of comfortable space for that. So the natural thing was to incorporate the school in there, because it gives people a chance to teach and a chance to learn, and that's an ongoing thing. The school's always evolving. We're actually just about to launch some new stuff in the next couple of months, so stay tuned. Go to wiresmusic.com and look. But we're going to offer a whole new spate of options for people who want to, you know, really come in here and leave a professional musician. And in the meantime, the venue's obviously a big deal. I think we've built the best room in town, and I say that because I believe it. Our sound's great, our staff is great, the stage is great. We take good care of people. It's a fun place to play and a fun place to see a show. And then you know, we launched our record label in October. We've got 3 acts on it right now, 2 of which are downstairs playing tonight, and they're all good, all different, and all those are local acts, all from around here. That we all thought these 3 were good and deserving of attention. And one of them is pretty established, Terry White. He's been around for a long time. I have several albums out. He was actually in a band called the Modern Day Saints back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Terry is now one of our artists, and you know, so my partner John Smith and I produced his record. Did the same thing with a band called Pipes, which is interesting sort of art rock thing, and another band called Everybody Says Yes, which is sort of an R&B soul Motown type thing. And you know, we're trying to draw some attention to local music and make some good records in the meantime, because that's something we love to do. So
absolutely.
So,
Cody, have you heard of any of those bands? Go ahead.
Yeah, I've heard of some of them, but I just wanted to know which events coming up do you think that people should check out?
Well, I would say come see Tributosaurus to David Bowie, but it's sold out today, so so that one's gone. But a couple of, actually, we just today announced John Cleary is coming in on February 20th. John is a New Orleans legend, keyboard player and funk player. He's also Bonnie Raitt's keyboard player. But his band is unbelievable. By bar none, my favorite live band to see in the country. The best. We were lucky enough to get him in here a few months ago. It went really well, so he's coming back, and so that's a good one. And you know, we try and offer a pretty eclectic calendar, so it really depends on what you like as to what you should come and see. But right. You know, we try to do, you know, we do everything from metal to punk to ska to R&B to hip hop to rock and roll to classics to, you know, whatever. It all happens here. We try not to pigeonhole ourselves too much. So the best I can say is check wiresmusic.com and look at the calendar and see what looks good to you guys. There's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. And now, you know, going back to your January 29th show, you know, doing Queen. Yeah. You said that, I mean, how many people are involved in that? You have a chorus, correct?
Yeah, we got 24 singers. And 4 guitar players, because, you know, Brian May always did the guitar chorale thing. He always did 3 or 4 guitar tracks harmonized. So we have 4 guitar players doing that stuff, and you know, I'll be playing keys as always, and percussion and drums, and it's a cool production. It's really fun. We did it at the Vic Theater about 7 or 8 years ago, I want to say, and it went very well. We really loved it. We haven't had a chance to do it since, and we did it recently for a private event. And we found a new way to do the choir. It was so cool. It sounded so perfect that we immediately were like, we got to do this for public. So we booked it right away, and that's going to be a great show. So I encourage everybody to come and see it. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And David Bowie sings a little bit in one of those songs. So
Yeah. How about that too? And what is maybe one of the more difficult things with at least trying to line up a lot of these artists and making sure that everybody's going to be able to be in town, on the same night. I mean, there's got to be a lot of work that goes on that end, at least of the whole situation.
yeah, it is. I mean, it can be, but we've been doing it for a long time, so we kind of have our system together. And in general, the guests that we bring in know what we expect of them, because we only do one rehearsal for every show. So everybody's got to kind of do their own work. And we do plenty of talking over email or calls or whatever, say, hey, what's this? What do you hear here? How's this going to go? But we only do one full band rehearsal a couple of days before the show, and it has to be perfect. It's often very long. And then we come out and do it, and it goes away until we either decide to do it again or not.
Yeah, okay. And, before we wrap things up here, again, we're talking Chris Neville. You can check him out at Tributosaurus on Twitter. Tributosaurus.com. Wire has their thing going on. Check it all out. They all have Facebook pages that you need to like. But you've covered Bowie before. You did the New Year's Eve thing. What was maybe one of the your more favorite songs of Bowie's that you performed, and maybe, like I said, was there like a specific maybe like story tied to it or a theme like throughout his music where you found like, okay, well, he's consistently doing this with either the guitar or you play keyboards quite a bit or percussions? What was there? What did David Bowie leave for you when you kind of broke through all the music?
I mean, for me, my favorite Bowie song, and one that really, really touches me, is Life on Mars. Absolutely love that song. I think it's so beautiful. The changes are so gorgeous, and the piano part is so pure and simple and just beautiful. I mean, that to me it's like a perfect song, and he has so many things. I mean, the first thing that brought me to Bowie probably was All the Young Dudes with Mott the Hoople. I think is my youngest memory of like hearing David Bowie and like, what is that? Because his vocal's so interesting in that tune, But when it came to like Life on Mars, to me, even about Ziggy Stardust and all that stuff, that's the epic. That's the one that I look at and think, wow. There are not many people who can write a song that perfect.
Yeah, no kidding. Do you have anything else from Cody?
Yeah, so after this Bowie project is wrapped up, do you have any other, dream bands or albums that you would like to, perform?
I mean, we got a lot. I mean, there's, as long as we've been doing it, there's still a bunch of bands that we haven't done yet. But right now, in February, we're taking a month off to do some corporate work, and then we'll hit it with Bowie in March, and actually we'll do Van Morrison on St. Patrick's Day, the day after at Wire. Yeah, we do that every year. That's a Wire show. It's on St. Pat's and on the 18th, which is Friday, so it's both days. It's a lot of fun, and we try to kind of span the career like we do everybody. We don't just do the hits. We kind of try to get some deep cuts, and everybody picks some tunes, and there's no vetoes, so you can't say, I don't like that pick. It doesn't matter. You got to play it.
Well, it's not like you hit a spark there with Bob. Bob, you're excited about the Morrison show, or are you going to come? Chicago?
Van Morrison. Yeah, Van Morrison. That one got me excited.
Well, come and see it, man.
Where are you doing this at? Where are you doing the Van Morrison show?
That'll be at Wire on St. Patrick's Day and on March 18th, 2 days. So
okay, if I can get out of baseball for that day, I will definitely. I like, if you got to, Wild Nights is one of my favorite songs of all time. So yeah.
Oh, me too. Great.
And it's one of the few songs where both artists who did it, Van Morrison, John Mellencamp, did it right and did it great.
Yeah. Well, he's another great writer. I mean, completely different style, but another really iconic writer. He writes great songs.
Yeah, you got, and that's fantastic. All right, so we got the shows coming up in March, and you have the one here in January with Queen, as Queen, and then eventually getting down to that. So we'll see if Bob can find some time, because he's all the way out in Nebraska, so he's enjoying the sticks, But we definitely appreciate you coming on here, Chris. Thank you so much.
No problem. And Bob, if you make it in, I'll buy you a beer or two.
Awesome. Hey, I'll be in February for sure. And but for what's it for St. Patty's Day? It's a maybe, but it's still a possibility. It's on the bucket list.
No, we got to make it happen.
All right.
Last time I went up with Chris, I was at Martyrs, and that was a bad night for me. Things got crazy. So,
well, that could be good or bad scenario.
yeah, you got it. Well, thank you so much. And again, Chris Neville of Tributosaurus, of Wire, the fantastic new venue that's out there in Chicago, in Berwyn. Check it out. You got all the shows there. We'll tweet that stuff out, like his Facebook pages. But thank you so much, Chris, and you have a fantastic evening. Enjoy your new axe tonight. Why don't you?
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
You got it. All right, there he is, Chris Neville. Yeah, check it out. Good stuff. And especially, like I said, for me, the whole Bowie thing was, you know, what his music meant. You know, the fact that I'm able to walk around with the goofy looking hair that I got, the fact that I got tight jeans. You know what I mean? Like, it rubs some people the wrong way, but for David Bowie, he made that kind of thing cool, where you know, where people could be comfortable and go out and do those.
It opened up a lot of doors for new ways to express yourself creatively.
It opened up a lot of back doors.
Yeah, that's fine, but I mean, think about it. I mean, there's so many things that go. I guess kind of unnoticed until somebody lays down that ground. And you know, when you look at what Bowie did, he was always the guy that went out there, put down the groundwork, and put it through. You know, his songs actually carried a message. You know, if you read his lyrics, they had a message. And it wasn't just something where he was just going out there to promote that image and promote his brand. This is a guy that was a rock icon for 30 plus years. Can you imagine staying relevant for over 30 years? You know what I mean?
Springsteen, the guy that you rip on day in, day out.
Well, that's because I'm not a Bruce Springsteen fan. I'm sure
way more relevant than Bowie over the last 30 years. Are you kidding me?
Oh, well, it's only
I don't think so, Bob.
More
You don't
American
think so? You don't think Springsteen's been more relevant than David Bowie over the last 30 years? Springsteen's put out way better albums than Bowie over the last 10.
Ooh, my goodness.
That's really debatable, Bob. I don't know if you should be making claims like that.
I love Bowie, but I wouldn't. Magic, Working on a Dream, those were two great. The Rising, those are all great albums.
The Rising, Bob, all his albums have been mediocre trash, and I love Springsteen.
Springsteen's have been more mainstream.
No, you guys are way off.
Yeah. No. Keith brings up a great point, and it's kind of going like what I was thinking. Where, like I said, I'm always going to give the boss his dues. You know what I mean? I think the reason why he got the name the boss is pretty cool. I do appreciate the fact that his music actually does mean something. And but the one thing, it's mainstream. He did do the gospel thing for a bit and kind of changed his sound a little bit. But when you look at what Bowie did, man, I mean, changed his sound. I mean, he was like the icon of pop music for 30 years. You know what I mean? Where, I mean, think about it now. Justin Bieber, is he going to be the next pop icon? I mean, you're just not going to find it that much.
Changed the sound a bit. I like Bieber. I'm on the Bieber bandwagon, actually.
You better not be.
And the other thing is with Bieber, the thing is like, whoa, Bieber's gay. You know what? Who else we called gay back in the day was Justin Timberlake, and he's pretty damn good right now. And people in my generation, when we, In Sync, is it the greatest music of all time? No. But we listen to it with some nostalgia. And I think we're going to, people of the Bieber generation are the same way with Bieber that my generation is with Timberlake.
God, that sounds awful. Do you want to shred him before you leave here, Cody, on the Bieber love?
You know what? I'm going to have to agree with Bob, especially Bieber is only, 21 years old, and he's already reinvented himself? He's 21. He's reinvented himself so many times already, and he's just 21. He has such a long career ahead of him, and he might be the next pop icon. I'm sure when Michael Jackson was in the Jackson 5 at 7 years old, nobody thought he was going to be how good he was.
Bieber is? You know who Justin Bieber is? Male Britney Spears.
What, Bob?
Justin Bieber is the male Britney Spears. He's gonna have a kind of a rebirth here. he's going to have a rebirth. He's going to go into rehab at some point, and then he's going to have another rebirth. He's just going to have continual rebirths because everybody loves him. He's the male version of Britney Spears. He's Britney Spears with a penis, is what he is.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But I do think that maybe Bieber is producing better music than Britney ever did.
You guys make me kill myself sometimes.
Thank you, Cody. Cody,
She
I'm
loves
glad.
her aunt. She
we
went
didn't
through a
agree on the
divorce.
Bowie and Springsteen thing, but when it comes down to it, Cody, me and you, I feel like if we were in a trench in World War II, we'd get out of that foxhole because me and you have each other's backs.
I feel like
I'm
you
glad
guys-
you feel that way. It's been a rocky road with our friendship, Bob, but I'm glad we've been on the same page lately.
I feel like we're on the right path right now, don't you, Cody?
I think in a few years you might be my best friend, Bob. Who knows?
Yeah, we're getting there. And then when the next World War II happens, we're going to get out of that foxhole, buddy.
Thanks. I got your back, dude.
Friendships are developing right here on the Johnnie Bobbo Show. Cody, man, appreciate your time tonight, brother, man. We're going to bring back a band next week. How about that? What do you think?
Sounds good, dude.
You got it. Celebratory 40s, Cody Vancura. Find him on Facebook, Francois Vancura. Love
Hey,
you
you
much.
guys have a good night.
You got it. Thanks for joining, bro. And so there he is, Cody Vancura. We also had Chris Neville. You got to be sure to like the Tributosaurus page on Facebook. Same thing with Wire. And same thing with Celebratory 40s. You got to do that. But you got to like the Johnnie Bobbo Show page, too. So I post things that are outside of sports. Post the funny videos. Do you keep up with the Johnnie Bobbo Show page on Facebook, Keith? Keith and Bob here?
No, I do not.
That's sad.
As much as humanly
I'm
possible.
sorry, it's nothing personal. It's just I don't really, unless I'm really pissed off about a topic like Lawrence Phillips. I'm not really on Facebook, or if I just want to find some wacky videos, I'm on Facebook. But I think I'm on at the wrong times when you're posting shit.
Yeah.
Johnny.
Well, let me ask you this, okay? Keith keeps up as much as possible. Yeah, no, he keeps up as much as possible, Keith. But as you were saying, we do have an apology to get to, Bob, and I feel like maybe you owe Lawrence Phillips an apology, or do you have a better apology for us?
No, fuck Lawrence Phillips. No apology there. I do have an apology to my buddy Gus and my buddy Hoove. Well, Hoove, sorry for not having you on my birthday show. And then Gus, just an apology for we had a phone call conversation. I coached with Gus, and we had a conversation that
Things get
got
heated.
out of control about Lawrence Phillips. And he's wrong. Actually, I wouldn't say he's wrong. He's right for the wrong reasons, but I'm right for the right reasons. We're not gonna agree on the Lawrence Phillips situation, which is fine. But again, Gus, I'm sorry that we don't agree on this. We're just not going to agree on it. We're both too stubborn for this situation.
Who is who? Is who? Is that the man's name?
That's his nickname. That's what he goes by, is Gus.
Ah. So Gus and who are the same person?
No, Hoove is a different person. I'm sorry to him for him not being on my birthday show.
What's his name? Who or Hoove?
Hoov.
Oh, I was going to say, because if you had him on, you'd have to have him lead off so that you could say Hoove's on first.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, you talk about child potty humor. That shit is it. But yeah, you look okay. So I apologize for him not being on my birthday show. Gus, I am apologizing for us disagreeing.
Why'd you blow off the Hoove?
I didn't. The time just ran out as far as him being on my show.
How are you gonna do this to somebody, Bob?
He'll be on my show eventually.
Well, at least you didn't like slap your first call with him and then just not call that person. So that's not so bad.
I feel like he has to be on my show because he's my boss as far as coaching baseball goes.
Okay.
So I probably have to have him on at some point, but just not on this day.
Is he going to hear this apology, and is he actually going to care if he hears it?
Probably no to both. I'm going to tell him that there was an apology out there. Whether he listens to it or not is up to him.
But it does exist.
It does exist. Yes, and it was on tape.
Well, what we're going to do here, we got to wrap things up on the Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio on your Spreaker app. Be sure to download us on iTunes. Yeah, you got to wrap it up. But what we got to do, we got to thank all sorts of people, like all our fantastic guests. Honestly, Joe Ostrowski at Joe O670 on Twitter, WSCR 670 The Score. You can be listening to him right now if you want. He's going to be on the airwaves all weekend. So be sure to check him out. Eric Edholm at Eric_Edholm of Yahoo Sports. Also 120 Sports. That's another thing where if you're a sports fan, be sure to like that 120 Sports page on Facebook because they're constantly posting new content, new videos, new audio, always something there for you. And then Cody Vancura, Francois Vancura of Celebratory 40s, brought on our buddy Chris Neville of Tributosaurus and the primary partner of Wire to help us appreciate the man, David Bowie, who we enjoyed tonight. So thank you much to all of them. Thank you much to Keith Grieve for your late night sports radio scoreboard check. Bob Sullivan at Bob Sullivan Show on Twitter. Also of No Coast Bias. I always appreciate your apologies, Bob. I really do. And so between that, everybody, I got to tell you, thank you for listening to LateNightSportsRadio.com on your speaker app, download on iTunes. Thank you for calling, texting, and tweeting. But be sure to like that Johnnie Bobbo Show page on Facebook there. Do that. But more importantly, you should probably be good.